Chapter 91. He. Hinata, if you had cooperated with me, I would have given you much more honorable treatment. If you wish to blame anyone, blame yourself for angering Reiner. And yes, I forgot to mention this, but Reiner is more powerful than an A- ranked adventurer. And he's not alone. With that, Elric snapped his fingers. The doors opened once more. A man in black stepped in first, followed by another in a deep green robe, his face obscured beneath a hood and scarf. Behind them came a group clad in long overcoats, bearing a very familiar emblem. Oh, my eyes narrowed slightly. The first man. I recognized him. Guy, the so-called flowing swordsman. The same one who had managed to embarrass himself repeatedly. And those overcoats. Green Fury. The very same team our avatars had toyed with in the labyrinth. Allow me to make introductions. Prince Elric stepped forward, clearly enjoying himself. He gestured lazily toward the black-clad man. This is Sir Guy, an A-ranked adventurer and now the aide-de-camp to General Reiner. And this, he placed a hand on the shoulder of the robed figure beside him, his tone turning theatrical, is the leader of the world-renowned mercenary group the Sons of the Veld. I took the liberty of assembling a most capable group, Elric continued, smiling as though he were hosting a performance. After all, facing a demon lord with anything less would be discourteous. His gaze settled on me, smug, certain. You see, there are many individuals in this world who possess strength comparable to yours. A pause. Then, having a bit of power, does not grant one the right to act so arrogantly. He really doesn't understand the situation at all. Killing him here would be easy. I was annoyed, a little angry, even. But, my reputation mattered far more than crushing a fool. So instead, I remained seated. But, there was someone in this chamber far angrier than I was. Let me ask you this, Prince Elric. Hinata's voice cut cleanly through the tension. What you are doing right now is not merely an insult to me, it is a direct provocation against the entire Western Holy Church. The air seemed to tighten. Are you prepared to accept the consequences of that? Elric didn't even hesitate. No need to concern yourself, he replied lightly, waving a hand as if brushing aside something trivial. I have no intention of causing trouble for the Western Holy Church, nor the Holy Empire of Lubulius. A faint smile curled on his lips. So do sit back, and enjoy the spectacle. I will personally guarantee your safety. For a brief moment, I was tempted to call Hinata out. Losing her composure this easily. How childish of her. But, I held back, because unlike me, who, admittedly, had begun to view this as something of a performance, the rest of the chamber was anything but amused. From the chairman downward, unrest spread rapidly. Councillors began to rise from their seats, voices overlapping in outrage. These actions are unacceptable, Prince Elric, this was never brought before the council. Sir Gaban, do you intend to drag all of us into this madness? Ah, good, that confirmed it. This isn't the council's will. Just a handful of fools overstepping. That is not the issue, Hinata continued, her tone colder now, more controlled but no less forceful. I am here as an impartial observer, appointed by the council itself. Her gaze locked onto Elric. My duty is to ensure that these proceedings remain fair and lawful. A pause. And I will not permit a single individual to trample over that authority. She was trying to reason with him. Given their positions, it made sense. But it won't work. The words weren't reaching him. Not even a little. Lady Hinata speaks the truth. This farce will not be tolerated within this chamber. Prince Elric, you act without mandate. And you, Sir Gaban, do you truly believe there will be no consequences for this? More voices joined in, louder, sharper, more desperate. Her Highness Rimuru honored us with her presence. This insult borders on an international incident. Is this how the kingdom of Anglesea conducts itself? Unforgivable. The chamber descended into chaos. Rage, accusations, clashing authority, and through it all, I remained seated, still, composed, watching. This really does feel like a play. A faint, almost imperceptible smile touched my lips as I observed the unfolding disorder. Without fairness, can you even call this a council? The chairman's voice rang through the chamber, louder than before, no longer restrained, no longer diplomatic. Yes, that's the spirit. Go, chairman, crush them. No, wait, hit them with the order and dignity line. That one's good. Internally, I was practically cheering him on like this was some kind of festival performance. Outwardly, I remained perfectly composed. Shut your mouth, you senile fool. Rainer's roar shattered the moment. You can grovel all you like once I've taken control of that demon lord. Ah, there he was again, standing proudly atop an imaginary victory podium. Honestly, at this point, I almost admired his confidence. Almost. He had already pushed Hinata well past her limit. At this rate, I doubted I would even need to lift a finger. Prince Elric, a calm voice interjected, cutting through the chaos. The hooded leader of the Sons of the Veld stepped forward slightly. Our agreement was strictly for personal protection. Any hazardous actions you choose to engage in will void that contract. Oh, so they weren't involved in this little circus. I had lumped them together with the rest. That would have been a mistake. Why yes, another voice stammered, clearly shaken. The demon lord Rimuru is the most dangerous individual I can think of. That labyrinth she created is filled with unimaginable horrors. Creatures beyond reason. Only a madwoman could devise such a thing. Wah, excuse me, my eye twitched ever so slightly. Madwoman, me, that's slander. Absolute slander. First of all, that labyrinth was a collaborative masterpiece. A refined blend of genius. Milam, Veldora, Ramirez, and I all worked on that together. So why am I the only one being called insane? Outwardly, however, I simply smiled, but inside, unbelievable, the audacity, HMPH, pathetic, cowards, all of you nothing but obstacles in my way. Ah, so Guy was cut from the same cloth as Reiner. Overconfidence, selective hearing, and just enough strength to mistake themselves for something greater. His glare settled on me, filled with open hostility. Now what did I do to him? Honestly, I couldn't even remember. At this point, the chamber was a breath away from collapsing into violence. And right then, Prince Elric raised his hand. Silence. All of you, Prince Elric is speaking. Count Gabon barked, having descended to stand beside him like an overeager herald. Elric nodded, satisfied. He took his time, looking around the chamber, as if the entire world had paused just for him. Then, he spoke. Counselors. His voice rang loudly, theatrically. Now is the time to declare your will. A sweeping gesture. Will you stand with us, the heroes who shall slay the demon lord? Or will you side with that tyrant, and betray humankind? I, Prince Elric von Anglesea, have full faith that the representatives gathered here will make the correct decision. Confidence truly is a frightening thing, when misplaced. Let us decide fairly and honestly. His voice rose further. We stand on the brink of subjugating the demon lord. A beat. Then, all those in agreement stand. Silence. For a fraction of a second. Then, chairs scraped. Several counselors rose to their feet, slowly, grinning, expressions twisted with greed and anticipation. And immediately, Elric's voice boomed once more. We have our answer. He spread his arms wide, triumphant. The majority has spoken. A victorious grin. The resolution passes. Behind him, Gabon and Reiner mirrored that same ugly satisfaction. Waiting for the moment to strike. Really, I didn't move, didn't speak. I simply looked across the chamber. And what I saw was not what Elric believed, less than a third, that was all. The vast majority remained seated. He didn't even bother to count. For someone so eager to claim authority. That was embarrassingly careless. And slowly, the realization began to spread. Those who had stood, noticed, their smiles faltered, their eyes shifted, looking around and counting. Ah, there it is. Pale faces. They had thought they were the majority, they certainly were not. The truth was painfully clear. The council did not support this farce, they did not support Elric. And most importantly, they did not support raising a hand against me. Ever since the spiritual interference had been removed, their judgment had followed, and now, this entire performance was crumbling. I do apologize for interrupting your moment of triumph, I said, my voice light, almost cheerful yet perfectly composed. A gentle smile curved my lips. However, I would advise you to look around the chamber first, Prince Elric. What are you? He stopped mid-sentence. He hadn't noticed. How remarkable, for someone so eager to declare victory. He hadn't even confirmed the result. It's almost impressive, I continued softly, to reach such a conclusion, without so much as verifying it. A slight tilt of my head. Tell me, Prince Elric, was this meant to be a performance? What are you, a clown? Someone muttered from the chamber. What? Hinata stepped forward then, her expression cold. But her eyes, they gleamed with unmistakable satisfaction. No. Forgive me, Prince Elric, she said calmly. It was simply, rather amusing. She wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. The majority of this chamber has voted against your proposal, she continued, voice sharp and official. As the appointed observer, I formally declare that the vote was conducted fairly and in accordance with procedure. A pause. And naturally, I expect the council will conduct a thorough inquiry into whether you even possess the authority to initiate such a vote in the first place. Quote. Ha. Elric's composure cracked. I refuse to accept this farce. Have you all lost your minds? I had to resist the urge to laugh outright. Hinata, meanwhile, was already smiling. Quote. Why yes, Prince Elric is correct, Count Gabon interjected desperately. Do you all understand the consequences of this? If you continue down this path, we will withdraw our nation's support. Wait, the chairman's voice cut through him. What exactly do you mean by our nation's support, Sir Gabon? So that caught his attention. Right on cue, Ren stepped forward silently, placing a set of documents into my hand. I glanced over them briefly, then spoke. Let's see. My tone remained light, almost curious. Anti-flooding infrastructure projects in the Kingdom of Raybok. Emergency food aid pledge to Karnata in response to their ongoing drought. I turned a page, and several other, generous, offers of assistance to various nations. I gently placed a hand over my lips. A soft, almost theatrical gasp. Oh my, I looked back up at them. Eyes wide, smile sweet. So this was the arrangement. A slight pause. In exchange for compliance, the room grew quieter, and here I thought these were acts of goodwill. My voice softened further, almost innocent. But if such support is to be withdrawn the moment these nations refuse to obey you. A tilt of my head. Then that would make this less of a benevolent effort, and more of a structured system of coercion, wouldn't it? Silence. In simpler terms, my smile never wavered. Bribery. Wah. Elric froze. Gabon's face was drained of color. How do you know about internal state matters? He demanded, barely holding himself together. I simply smiled, gently, gracefully, and said nothing. Now Prince's allies were visibly unraveling. Panic spread across their faces. The chairman, having finally grasped the situation, stared at them like a man possessed, eyes wide, breath uneven. The tide had turned completely. I caught sight of one counselor slowly attempting to sit back down, hoping no one would notice. Oh, trying to quietly withdraw after choosing the losing side. Unfortunately for him, Soe had already acted. Invisible strands of sticky steel thread held several of them firmly in place, forcing them to remain standing frozen in the very position that betrayed their allegiance. Ah, I thought as much, remarked the leader of the Sons of the Veld, folding his arms. We do not involve ourselves in the protection of those who insist on provoking a hornet's nest. Their contract with Elric was over. Wise decision. At this point, our victory was all but secured. And yet, some fools simply refused to accept reality. Enough of this nonsense, Reiner roared, stepping forward with manic confidence. Prince Elric, now is not the time to falter. Once I defeat the Demon Lord, everything will fall into place. Reiner. Why yes, General Reiner is right. Our greatest weapon is still here. I let out a soft breath. Truly hopeless, they had abandoned reason entirely. Even now, they clung to a fantasy. I rose slowly from my seat. Graceful, unhurried. Quote. You intend to defeat me? My voice was gentle, almost curious. A faint smile rested on my lips as my golden eyes settled on him. May I ask, upon what foundation you base such confidence? Of course I do, you fool. Reiner barked, that same vulgar grin spreading across his face. Or what, have you lost your nerve already? He lifted the orb of domination, waving it as if it were his guaranteed victory. Crawl over here, lick my boots, and I might consider making it painless for you. Disgusting. Behind him, Guy issued a sharp order. Soldiers moved instantly and sealed the doors blocking exit. The Sons of the Veld had already stepped away. But several high-ranking adventurers still remained at Elric's side, weapons drawn, their killing intent directed squarely at us. Weapons in the chamber. Have you all lost your minds? The chairman was screaming his head off, but the soldiers were keeping anyone from leaving the mezzanine. I stopped hearing him after a while, so I guess he got captured along with the other counselors. Just as I was considering how to proceed, Hinata moved first. As the observer, I cannot permit this reckless behavior. Her voice was cold. Then, she smiled. A small, dangerous smile directed squarely at Reiner. One that carried the weight of every insult he had just thrown at her. She was unarmed, of course she was. This was a council chamber. But even so, if she had a sword, I was absolutely certain her hand would already be resting on its hilt. Rimuru, she said quietly, eyes never leaving her target, I will handle this. I simply nodded. Go ahead. Honestly, he had it coming. Rest in peace, Reiner. I'll try to remember you, maybe. Heh. Reiner laughed arrogantly, completely unaware of the death flag towering over his head. Oh, this is perfect. The so-called saint herself steps forward. He spread his arms wide, as if addressing an audience. I am the strongest man in Anglesea. And today, I'll expose you for the fraud you are. Ah, confidence. Truly a terrifying thing. You got drunk on your own reputation, didn't you? He continued, grinning. Guardian of humankind. What a joke. I'll bring you back to reality myself. He really doesn't get it, does he? Hey, another voice chimed in. Guy stepped forward, eyes gleaming with anticipation. Your Highness, may I engage the Demon Lord instead? Of course, replied Prince Elric without hesitation. But do try not to kill her, Guy. Control the output of that holy sword I granted you. No need to remind me, Guy smirked. With this weapon, defeat is no longer a possibility. Oh, there it is. The classic, new toy, new confidence, phenomenon. That's usually when defeat becomes guaranteed. Before I could even respond, another figure stepped forward, graceful, composed, and quietly furious. All this time, I have endured your insolence. Shuna moved ahead of me, her voice soft but carrying unmistakable resolve. But your disrespect toward Lady Rimuru, her eyes narrowed slightly, has gone far beyond what I can tolerate. Ah, he's dead too. Shuna walked forward calmly, positioning herself between me and Guy. No hesitation, no fear, just quiet, absolute intent. I glanced to the side. Benimaru stood still, arms crossed. Not moving. Oh, he's holding himself back. That kind of restraint from him. Yeah, that meant things were bad. Then, there was Ren, standing beside me. Perfect posture, elegant as ever. Expression, completely neutral. But knowing her, she's absolutely enjoying this. If anything, she was probably internally cheering for Hinata and Shuna. Maybe even laughing at those idiots for picking a fight with these two. How does she keep that straight face? And just like that, before anyone could properly react, the clash began. From the perspective of the council, it must have looked like a decisive battle between two opposing forces. In reality, it was something else entirely. Out of consideration for what little dignity remained of Guy and Reiner, I will refrain from describing the full details. Let's just say, the outcome was never in doubt. Guy's case, for instance. One moment, he stood there brimming with confidence, gripping that so-called, invincible, holy sword. The next, a single spell, disintegration, a flash of overwhelming holy power. Clean, absolute, and just like that, his weapon, gone, his armor, gone, the upper half of his clothing, also gone. He survived, of course. Barely. Now, he sat on the floor, half naked, trembling, quiet sobs escaping him like a scolded child. Yeah, let's move on. As for Reiner, I didn't even fully see what happened. All I heard was, a scream. No, that was too generous. It was the most pathetic sound I had ever heard. By the time I looked, he was already on his knees, hands clutching his head, body shaking, and then, oh no, a faint sound, drip, drip, a dark stain spread across his pants. I immediately looked away. Nope, I was not dealing with that. Absolutely not. How unsightly, came Hinata's cold voice, filled with complete disdain. Meanwhile, behind me, pathetic, Ren murmured under her breath, her tone perfectly calm. Though I could feel the judgment radiating off her. Shuna, on the other hand, simply adjusted her sleeve, composed, elegant, as if she hadn't just erased a man's entire confidence and wardrobe in a single spell. With matters resolved, I let my gaze drift across the chamber. Silence lingered, heavy, oppressive. Most of the councillors remained standing whether by choice or not. Though, of course, I knew better. My attention settled on Prince Elric. Front row, once proud, now, visibly shaken. Beside him, the sons of the Veld had subtly distanced themselves. Their body language was clear enough, we want no part in this. Noted. I allowed a soft smile to return to my lips. Gentle, refined, Your Highness. Prince Elric, my voice flowed smoothly through the chamber. That was quite the memorable display. I trust you understand the position you now find yourself in. His reaction was immediate. No, how concise. I tilted my head ever so slightly. I see. Then, my gaze shifted to the others, those who had risen earlier, those who had so confidently chosen their side. And as for the rest of you, my tone remained warm, pleasant. Those who so eagerly stood in support just moments ago, I assume, of course, that your actions today were taken with the full knowledge and approval of your respective nations. A pause. Silence cracked. And no, that, Lady Rimuru, no, I mean Her Highness. Please, allow me to explain. I did not respond. Instead, my smile deepened. Just slightly. In other words, I continued, as if merely clarifying a minor detail, it would be reasonable for me to interpret your conduct here as an official declaration of intent from your nations. And by extension, my eyes softened, dangerously so, to hold them accountable for those same offenses. In that case, I would be forced to reconsider my nation's stance toward each of yours. That did it. Their composure shattered. No, that's not. Please, Your Highness, this was not authorized. We were misled. Ah, now they speak. How interesting. Just moments ago, they stood so confidently. Now, they could barely keep their voices steady. Behind me, Soe's threads ensured none of them could retreat, not that it mattered. They were already trapped, just as I was about to conclude. A faint disturbance brushed against my senses, unmistakably hostile. My expression didn't change, but internally, I sharpened my focus and expanded magic sense. Over a mile away, there, a figure, a young woman with striking red hair, her posture relaxed yet intent like a predator observing its prey. And in her hand, something small, black, metallic, a gun. From that distance, immediately, I activated thought acceleration. Time slowed. It is the Walther P99, Seal answered promptly. A compact and lightweight handgun. Its effective range is approximately 55 yards. 55 yards. I mentally measured the distance again. Over a mile. That doesn't add up, even assuming enhancements. Magic. Skills. No, if the goal was assassination from this range, a sniper rifle would have been far more efficient. And yet, she aimed, without hesitation. Why? Before I could fully piece it together, she fired. Bang! Within my accelerated perception, I saw everything. The recoil, the flash, and the bullet, tearing through the air at incredible speed. Fast, precise, but still, bound by physics. This shouldn't reach us. And yet, just as the projectile cut through space, a point of darkness appeared mid-flight, and in the next instant, the bullet vanished, swallowed whole, by a perfect, pitch-black void. Oh, this is spatial connection, a type of spatial motion. Spatial connection was just that, a skill that connected two recognized points in space together. So that was her game. The red-haired woman hadn't been aiming to hit us directly, she used magic sense to lock onto her target. Then combined it with a spatial connection to bridge the distance. A clever trick. Fire from afar, and make the bullet reappear at point-blank range, ignoring walls, ignoring distance, ignoring logic itself. Impressive. A small distortion formed in the air, just beside Prince Elric's head. A void, no larger than a fist. And from within it, the bullet emerged, blazing forward at terrifying speed. A guaranteed kill. No time to react, no room to evade. For anyone else, but not me. With CL's assistance, I mirrored her technique. A second distortion formed, directly in the bullet's path. A perfect spatial connection. The moment the projectile exited her portal, it vanished again, swallowed whole. A third point opened right in front of me. And from it, the same bullet reappeared. Still carrying all its velocity, all its intent. Without hesitation, I raised my hand, and caught it. Clink. The sound was soft, almost trivial, as if I had simply plucked something harmless out of the air. Quote. Question mark exclamation mark. Are you alright? Hinata had already moved, standing beside Elric, her expression tense as she checked him over. The leader of the Sons of the Veld looked equally stunned, his gaze flickering between Elric and me. I said nothing. Instead I glanced down at the object in my hand. A small piece of metal. Then my gaze shifted, toward Elric. He stood there frozen, eyes unfocused, mind unable to process how close he had come to death. Understandable. After all, death had quite literally brushed past him, and he hadn't even noticed. Only a handful of us had. A sharp sound cut through the chamber. Then another. And another. Alarms. Loud, piercing, relentless. The chamber's magical defense system had been activated. Too late, but active nonetheless. Voices erupted. Confusion spread. Guards began mobilizing. The orderly structure of the council has collapsed into chaos. The session was effectively over. For now, I had already made my move. A parallel existence was on its way to greet our mysterious sniper. Meanwhile, the chamber had shifted from chaos to investigation. You could kill a person with this. Yes, it's called a bullet. You require a specialized tool to fire it, but none is present here. So the assassin was targeting Prince Elric. To frame the demon lord Rimuru, of course. Indeed, had Prince Elric fallen at that precise moment, suspicion would have inevitably turned toward Her Highness Rimuru. It would have severely complicated Tempest's admission into the council. Yes, these individuals were likely nothing more than disposable pawns from the very beginning. The security chief, sons of the Veld leader, Chairman Lester, and Hinata were discussing matters here. I felt a quiet sense of satisfaction. My name had been cleared without me needing to say a word. Meanwhile, Prince Elric looked considerably less composed than before. Am I still being targeted? His voice trembled, his face pale. I stepped forward, slowly, gracefully, drawing his attention. Prince Elric, my voice was calm and gentle. You may set your concerns aside. The opportunity to use your life as a pawn has already passed. I met his eyes, steady, unwavering. The assailant's failure has rendered their objective void. At this stage, pursuing you further would yield no benefit to them. A faint, composed smile touched my lips. In other words, you are no longer worth the risk. I turned slightly, as if the matter had already concluded. But I am a prince of a great nation. There are countless ways people could exploit me. His voice wavered, a far cry from the arrogant figure from earlier. I turned back, regarded Prince Elric for a moment. Then spoke. Prince Elric. My tone was soft. Is a crown truly the sole measure of one's worth? A brief pause. You may yet be required to answer for today's actions. Such matters cannot simply be overlooked. My gaze remained calm, unjudging. However, once that burden has been carried, a faint, almost gentle smile appeared. I would advise you to reflect upon your path. Hey, a demon lord, offering me comfort. Elric let out a hollow laugh. I expected something far more terrifying, more vengeful. His shoulders sagged. The fight had left him. I was a fool, to be led along so easily. Gabon. His voice steadied, not with confidence, but with acceptance. It is time I take responsibility for my actions. Prince, Count Gabon blurted, his eyes wide with shock. You were the one who approached me, Prince Elric continued, his voice now firm and resolute. I allowed myself to be swayed. That is my failing. His gaze hardened. But you, Count Gabon. Elric fixed him with a cold, unyielding stare. You will answer for yours as well. The weight of his words settled over the chamber. Count Gabon froze, pale, sweating, and just like that, Prince Elric von Anglesea surrendered himself to the security forces. It was pretty obvious that Gabon was the main person behind all this, rounding up Reiner and Elric and convincing them to cause this wild scene. I'm sure someone's using Gabon, too. The chamber had barely settled, when the doors swung open once more. His Majesty King Egil has arrived. The attendant's voice rang across the hall. In an instant, every counselor straightened and bowed. The atmosphere shifted, from chaos, to absolute order. King Egil entered with measured steps, his presence commanding without effort. His bushy blonde hair and curled mustache gave him a dignified, seasoned air, one befitting a ruler who had seen much and endured more. His gaze swept across the chamber, briefly pausing on those restrained by Soe. But he did not linger. Instead, he turned to me. I see, my son has caused you some trouble. Direct, honest, no excuses. I recalled Ren's lessons, and replied, he has, indeed. My voice remained calm, even. However, it would appear he has come to recognize his error. A brief silence followed. Then, I see. King Egil inclined his head slightly. As his father rather than as king, allow me to offer both my apology and my gratitude. The king himself, lowering his head, not as a ruler, but as a parent, I accepted it without hesitation. Very well. A soft pause. I shall overlook this matter just this once. My gaze held his, steady. However, I trust there will be no need for such leniency again. Yes, that is understood. A faint smile touched his lips. From now on I hope for a constructive relationship between us. There was no deception in his eyes. Only resolve. I share that sentiment. I extended my hand. He took it. A firm handshake. A quiet agreement. All rise. Everyone raised their faces. They had all overheard our exchange, but I suppose this formality indicated that it wasn't meant to be on the record. A king wasn't supposed to bow to a foreign power that readily, and I supposed King Egil saw it as a last resort. Father. Prince Elric spoke weakly. Enough. King Egil's voice carried quiet authority. It would seem you require further education. Yes, father. No resistance. Only acceptance. Then, the king turned back to me. My apologies once more. We shall take responsibility for resolving this matter. Very well. With that, King Egil departed, his entourage following close behind. Among them, the orb of domination was quietly confiscated. Not that it mattered. I had already rendered it harmless long before anyone thought to secure it. Following an afternoon break, we continued with the legislative session. The councillors seemed a lot less energetic than they were in the morning hours, somehow. That was lucky for me, because I didn't need to cajole them into passing all the day's important business. The following 3 resolutions were enacted today. Tempest is recognized as a nation. Tempest will officially join the council. The council's military rights will be assigned to Tempest. These were accepted without protest and passed, barring any issues, by unanimous vote. The path to this outcome had been long, but in the end, every proposal I presented to the council was accepted. As the session came to a close, we left the chamber behind. It had been a stormy day, yet now, at last, it had passed. I arrived, silently, no sound, no presence, standing just behind her, close enough to end it in an instant. Her, that demon bastard's boss. The red-haired woman cursed under her breath. Did I underestimate her too? She's even more monstrous than that demon bastard. A faint smile touched my lips. My voice slipped gently into the air. Soft, pleasant, yet enough to freeze her in place. Your words are rather cruel. She flinched, spinning around instantly, weapon raised. Eyes sharp, alert, monstrous. Me. I tilted my head slightly. You must be mistaken. A small, almost innocent smile. I am merely a gentle woman, one who wouldn't harm even a fly. She didn't relax. Not even a little. How did you get here? She asked, voice low, guarded. Oh, I clasped my hands lightly behind my back. I simply took a quicker route. A step forward. I do hope you don't mind. The distance between us shrank. Ever so slightly. Her grip tightened. Her stance shifted. My smile deepened just a fraction. Now then, my golden eyes met hers. Shall we begin? Another step. Let us play. I spoke with nothing but kindness. And was answered with violence. A gunshot rang out. No hesitation. No warning. The bullet tore through the air toward me. Only to be casually brushed aside. Clink. A simple flick of my hand. Deflected. She didn't pause, not even for a second. In the same motion, a knife flashed into her grip. Sharp, precise. Her body moved with trained efficiency as she lunged. A clean, refined strike aimed straight for my vitals. I shifted, barely, just enough for the blade to pass by harmlessly. Though, this outfit really is inconvenient. Elegant, beautiful, but hardly suited for combat. Still, with thought acceleration activated, and my ability to read movements. Dodging her was trivial. She pressed on, knife in her right hand, gun in her left, a seamless combination. Shots rang out in rapid succession, each bullet aimed with deadly precision. While her blade danced toward me in tandem. A relentless assault. I responded in kind, deflecting bullets with the back of my hand while slipping past each slash with minimal movement. Not a single wasted motion. Not a single hit landed. Then, an opening. Small, but enough. I stepped in, raising my hand for a clean strike. But, she saw it. Her instincts kicked in immediately. She disengaged, jumping back in a fluid motion creating distance. Oh, a faint smile appeared on my lips. Ho, you have excellent instincts. She steadied her stance, eyes locked onto mine. Well, thank you, she replied dryly. You're not so bad yourself. Another gunshot. Bang, the bullet came straight for me. And once again I knocked it aside. Effortlessly. Tell me. I tilted my head slightly. Why persist in firing, when you already know it won't harm me?" She scowled. "Then why bother deflecting them?" My smile widened. Just a little, because. A soft pause. Golden eyes gleaming with quiet amusement. "It's more entertaining this way." It seemed, my lack of seriousness had finally struck a nerve. The assassin's expression hardened, and in the next instant her attacks changed. Sharper, faster, deadlier. No wasted motion, no hesitation. Good. This was far more interesting. She vanished from a straightforward rhythm and began weaving spatial connection into her assault. Gunfire erupted, but not from a single direction. From everywhere. Above, behind, beside. Bullets warped through space itself, appearing at impossible angles, while her blade continued its relentless dance. A flawless combination of technique and ability. I responded accordingly, dodging what I pleased, deflecting what amused me, and when neither suited my mood, I simply opened small distortions in space, redirecting the bullets harmlessly into the ground. Effortless, controlled, absolute. After a while I exhaled softly. "That's enough." A gentle smile formed on my lips. "I believe I have entertained myself sufficiently." I took a step forward, unbothered by the storm around me. "So," I began with a gentle smile, "how about we sit down for some tea and sweets, and you answer a few of my questions?" God damn it. Her composure shattered, with a furious scream. She fired, not once, but 5 times in perfect succession. 3 bullets aimed at my head, 2 at my heart, each one infused with magic. Each one lethal, and then, they vanished. A heartbeat later, they reappeared, one in front of my face, one above, one to my right, the remaining 2, materialized before my heart, and just behind it, a flawless kill formation. But, I had already decided, I was done playing. Without moving from my spot, I raised my hand slightly, and invoked spatial connection. Small black distortions like fragments of void opened before each incoming bullet, one by one they were swallowed whole. Silently, effortlessly. A moment later, 5 identical distortions appeared near the ground, and from them the bullets emerged, dropping harmlessly, striking the earth with dull, lifeless thuds. I looked ahead, still smiling, at where she had been. My gaze shifted, scanning, and then, I found her, far in the distance, running, at full speed. I sighed softly. How disappointing. With a single step, I vanished, and reappeared, directly in front of her. She skidded to a halt, eyes widening, then instinctively leapt back. "What the?" Her voice cracked. "How did you get here?" I didn't answer. Instead, I pouted, almost childishly. "That was rather rude." A small tilt of my head. "To run away, after I so kindly invited you for tea." "God damn it," she shouted. Then she raised her weapon. Before she could act, crunch, a wet, visceral sound echoed through the air. For a moment, she didn't understand. Then, her hand was gone. Blood erupted from the severed limb, spraying across the ground. She stared, frozen, her mind lagging behind reality. Slowly, trembling, she clutched at the empty space where her hand had been. Her face drained of all colors. And then, her eyes rose, to me. Standing there, calm, composed, chewing, as if nothing at all had happened. Of course, I hadn't moved, not even a step. The truth was far simpler. Using Azathoth, I had merely erased a portion of her arm, swallowing it into my imaginary space. And what I was chewing was nothing more than ordinary meat. But from her perspective there was only one conclusion. I had bitten her hand off without even moving. Terror finally reached her eyes, her face pale and her hand trembling. I swallowed, then smiled gently. "Now then," I met her gaze. "Shall we try that again?" I kept my smile. "My offer still stands, tea, and a conversation." There was no reply. She was already unconscious, her body limp and unresponsive. With a quiet sigh, I moved to heal her first. Her severed arm regenerated almost instantly, flesh knitting together as though nothing had happened. I may be a demon lord, but I'm not cruel enough to leave her like that. With that, the assassin was secured. To be continued.